Finally, let's wrap up our discussion of Chapter 2 by discussing other project management tasks that have to be dealt with before launching the project. Now, when I was a project manager developing systems for the Department of Defense, what I heard over and over again from my clients, my customers, who sponsored the project and paid for the project, was really all they wanted was for the contractor to deliver the project on time, within budget, and one that met the requirements, that is, did what it was supposed to do. These three things are still very critical. So the project must have a project manager, and it's a balancing act. There's an interplay among the size of the project, the cost of the project, and how long it takes to finish the implementation project. All of these elements are related, of course. Now, in the context in which I was a project manager, we would submit a proposal to our government clients proposing to develop a project. And an important part of that project proposal was the estimates for both dollars and time, man-hours, that it would require to finish the project and deliver the information system. And of course, a timeline was incorporated where we showed the various points at which we would deliver the important parts of the projects and various deliverables. So the project manager must make some sort of preliminary estimate of the amount of time the project will take. So how do you assign project values for time and effort? Well, there are estimation software packages that you can use. There are industry standards you can use. My personal belief is that this skill is more of an art than a science, and that project managers get better at it with practice. Now, one approach just simply uses whatever the estimate is for the planning phase and multiplies it by some multiple for analysis, for design, and for implementation. So if you need 4 months for planning, then based on these multiples, if planning takes 15% of the time and analysis 20% and design 35% and implementation 30%, you can just use those multiples to manipulate the amount of time required for one phase to estimate the time required for the other phases and for the total project length. You also have to the project manager must identify tasks, of course, must develop a work plan, which is an important deliverable, some sort of dynamic schedule that records and keeps track of all the tasks that need to be accomplished over the course of the project. So the project manager must identify these tasks that need to be accomplished and determine how long each one will take. Now, in my experience, top-down approaches are used the most. What is a top-down approach? A top-down approach is that you look at the tasks from the big picture, and then you break them down into more finite tasks. For example, if you're going to create a grading plan, there might be 2 elements to that. You might develop a grading rubric as one subtask, and you might develop a test plan, test data, and then check the figures as another sub-element. So top-down approaches have been used for this sort of task for a long time. Here's a typical work plan entry. It's just a way to catalog the tasks to be accomplished. This approach assembles important details about each task to be accomplished, shows the type of task information needed, when it needs to be completed, the person assigned to do the work, any deliverables that will be required, and so forth. Here's a picture of a project work plan. Something that's not pictured here is a work breakdown structure. And the work breakdown structure with the project work plan is the project manager's primary tools for managing the project. The project work plan and the work breakdown structure are the primary tools for managing a project. They help the project manager tell whether the project is ahead or behind schedule, how well the project was estimated, what changes need to be made, and so forth. They also show who is responsible for completing each task, the actual hours each task took, the variances between estimated and actual completion times, the duration of each task, current statuses of each task, whether it's open or complete, and the task dependencies. Also important is staffing considerations. You need to put people on the project, and it's not just simply a matter of assigning people with the right skills. You're taking them away from other things that the organization is doing. Typically, there's a staffing plan. You definitely want to motivate people. Contrary to popular belief, money is not really the best motivator. People will quit jobs, of course, if they feel they're underpaid, but there are other intrinsic rewards that are as or more important than simply monetary rewards. Some of them are listed here: recognition, achievement, advancement, so on and so forth. There are also demotivators, probably the most important. When you assign unrealistic deadlines to complete tasks to skilled people, they know that the deadlines are unrealistic, and they resent being responsible for delivering something when they don't have enough time to do it. Good group performance, you need skilled people, but you also need interpersonal skills. You need to have regular meetings and status reporting. People have to work well with other team members. That's as important as the intrinsic skills. Project estimates are rarely right on the button at the outset, and you need to be prepared to adjust them. If you begin to get behind, it's a common misconception to think, well, I can just throw more people on this project and catch up. If you deliver something important behind schedule, you'll likely be behind schedule the entire time and maybe fall further behind. So you should apprise everyone of that. Scope and scope creep is very important. It's when you're defining the scope of the project, what it will and will not do, it's vitally important that you make it clear what is out of scope, because project sponsors will invariably try to get new features and new requirements into the design after you've gone beyond the requirements definition phase. Time boxing is just a variant of a task-oriented approach. With a task-oriented approach, you estimate the time required to complete each task. With time boxing, you just say, I want a system up and running by X date. And the idea is to meet that date regardless of whether you complete all of the functionality by then or not. When a target date is missed, again, don't assume you can catch up. You probably won't. Throwing more people at it won't help. Well, that's a summary of Chapter 2. I hope that you got something out of this. Have a good day.